What if I told you that one of the most profitable fantasy films of the 1980s was a low-budget spectacle from Argentina, famous for its wooden swords, a hero in a bad wig, and so much on-screen nudity and violence that it became a cult controversy? This is the wild, unbelievable story of Deathstalker, a film that cashed in on Conan the Barbarian and ended up creating its own bizarre legacy. In this video, we're uncovering 10 shocking secrets behind this B-movie masterpiece. And don't worry, you can watch this video safely. We'll tell you all the wild stories without showing you any of the wild scenes. Released in 1983, Deathstalker is a sword and sorcery adventure about a mighty warrior sent on a quest to defeat the evil sorcerer Munkar. It's a quintessential B-movie, packed with over-the-top action, cheesy dialogue, and a campy charm that could only come from the 80s. For many, it was a staple of late-night cable TV and the early days of video rentals. Do you remember the first time you stumbled upon this gem in a dusty video store aisle, probably drawn in by its incredible poster art? Let's begin our countdown of the top 10 behind-the-scenes secrets of Deathstalker. Number 10. The Art of Cutting Corners. You can't talk about Deathstalker without talking about its legendary producer, Roger Corman, the undisputed king of low-budget filmmaking. To save a fortune, Corman moved his fantasy film productions to Argentina, and Deathstalker was the very first of 10 sword and sorcery movies he made there. This cost-cutting was visible in every frame. Most of the gleaming swords you see on screen weren't metal at all. They were simply wooden props painted with metallic silver paint. The production team also had to get creative to hide the modern world creeping into their fantasy epic. The film is filled with atmospheric fog, but it wasn't just for mood. The crew used fog machines constantly to hide modern houses and even highways that were right next to their sets. Number 9. A GoBot, a Playboy model, and a wig. The cast of Deathstalker was as eclectic as the production itself. The main villain, the sorcerer Munkar, was played by Bernard Erhard, an actor far more famous for his voice work. Children of the 80s would recognize his voice instantly as Psykill, the evil leader of the Renegades from the cartoon Challenge of the GoBots. The film's Princess Codille was played by Barbie Benton, who was already a huge star in her own right as a famous Playboy model, actress, and singer. And what about our hero? The titular Deathstalker was played by Rick Hill, but he had a secret. The flowing blonde locks you see on screen weren't his. He wore a wig throughout the entire filming process. Number 8. The Little B Movie That Could. Despite its cheap sets and wooden swords, Deathstalker was a massive financial success. Produced on a shoestring budget of just around $457,000, the film went on to gross nearly $12 million in the United States and Canada alone. It was a certified hit for its distributor, New World Pictures, which specialized in turning low-budget genre films into gold. It opened in 163 theaters and had an incredible staying power, running for about 12 weeks. Its success wasn't just in theaters. Deathstalker became a sensation in the booming home video market. It was a must-have rental for any fan of fantasy or cult cinema, ensuring it made money for years and solidifying its place in B-movie history. This home video success was the primary reason it spawned a whole franchise. Number 7. The Crossover King, from a fantasy warrior to a horror icon. One of Deathstalker's key antagonists is the warrior Ogress, played by actor Richard Brooker. While he's memorable in the film, it's what he did just 1 year before that cemented his place in cinematic history. In 1982, Brooker portrayed one of the most famous slashers of all time, Jason Voorhees, in Friday the 13th, Part 3. He was the first actor to wear the now iconic hockey mask, defining the look of the character for decades to come. For horror fans, seeing Jason Voorhees swinging a sword in a fantasy film is a mind-bending piece of trivia. Sadly, Brooker passed away in 2013, mourned by horror fans as one of the definitive actors to have played the legendary role. Number 6. A franchise of shapeshifters. The massive success of the first film guaranteed sequels, but the Deathstalker franchise is one of the strangest in history because it constantly changed. The film spawned 3 direct sequels, and each one felt like a completely different movie. Deathstalker 2, Duel of the Titans, 1987, was a total tonal shift, becoming a goofy, self-aware parody of the genre, with a new actor, John Turleski, in the lead role. The third film, Deathstalker and the Warriors from Hell, 1988, also known as Deathstalker 3, starred yet another actor, John Allen Nelson, and continued the more comedic tone. It wasn't until the final sequel, Deathstalker 4, Match of Titans, 1991, that the original star, Rick Hill, returned to the role, bringing the bizarre and inconsistent saga to a close. Number 5. The end of an era for a legend. While Deathstalker was the beginning of Roger Corman's Argentine fantasy factory, it also marked a major turning point in his career. This was the very last film he produced as the head of New World Pictures, the company he founded and turned into a powerhouse of independent cinema. After its release, he resigned from the company, ending a significant chapter in his legendary career. In a way, this campy, chaotic, and highly profitable B-movie was his swan song for the studio he built. And now, the golden flicker moment. Number 4. The Rebirth, fueled by a rock god. For decades, Deathstalker remained a beloved cult relic of the 80s. But the story isn't over. A massive reboot is in production and scheduled for release in October 2025. This new version is being directed by Steven Kostanski, known for his work on modern cult hits like Psycho Gorman, and will star action veteran Daniel Bernhardt, famous from John Wick and The Matrix Reloaded. But here's the wildest part. One of the main producers behind the reboot is Berserker Gang, a production company co-founded by none other than Slash, the legendary guitarist of Guns N' Roses. The production promises extensive practical effects, including 2-headed trolls, stone robots, and a new pigman, and even launched a successful Kickstarter campaign to secure additional funding. Connecting a 40-year-old cult classic to a modern reboot featuring a rock legend is what keeps film history alive. Do you agree that this is the golden flicker moment? Number 3. The Rise of a B-Movie Queen. The film featured many memorable faces, but one actress in particular used Deathstalker as a launchpad to become a true cult movie icon. Lana Clarkson, who played the fierce warrior Kyra, became a B-movie superstar. Roger Corman immediately saw her potential and cast her as the lead in another one of his fantasy films, Barbarian Queen, in 1985. Corman himself later called her character in that film the original Xena, warrior princess. Clarkson fully embraced her status as a cult celebrity, starring in sequels like Barbarian Queen 2 and appearing in fan conventions throughout the 90s. She became a beloved figure for fans of the genre, a shining example of someone who turned a role in a campy B-movie into a celebrated career. Number 2. The controversy of Misogyny Central. We can't discuss Deathstalker without addressing its most infamous legacy. The film became notorious for pushing the boundaries of an R rating, packing in as much nudity and suggestive content as possible. However, it also earned a controversial reputation for its depiction of women and its scenes of sexual violence, including several attempted assaults within the first few minutes of the movie. This led to many critics and viewers labeling the film as deeply misogynistic, and it has since gained a reputation among cult audiences as a prime example of misogyny central. This exploitative nature was even part of its marketing, with the provocative poster art by famed fantasy artist Boris Vallejo emphasizing its sleazy, adventurous appeal. This blend of camp, action, and controversial content is a key reason why it remains such a debated and fascinating cult object. Number 1. A beautiful and tragic legacy. Our final point moves beyond the film's B-movie fun into a somber, real-world story. The life of Lana Clarkson, the B-movie queen who shone so brightly as Kyra, ended in horrific circumstances nearly 2 decades after Deathstalker's release. In 2003, she was murdered by legendary music producer Phil Spector. The case became a massive media sensation and resulted in Spector's conviction and imprisonment. Her tragic death brought a heartbreaking reality to the often silly world of fantasy films. Lana Clarkson was more than just a cult movie actress. She was a vibrant person whose career was built on strength and charisma, both on and off screen. Her story is a poignant reminder of the real lives behind the fantastic tales we see on film. From its budget-saving tricks in Argentina to its shocking financial success and the tragic fate of its star, Deathstalker is so much more than just a cheesy Conan knockoff. It's a time capsule of 80s excess, a testament to Roger Corman's genius, and a cult classic with a legacy that is both celebrated and mourned. If you discovered something new today, illuminate our day by clicking like and subscribe to Golden Flicker so you never miss a story from behind the scenes of Hollywood. What movie or actor do you want to see here in the next video? Let us know in the comments.